has moved their forces somewhere else. I don't know.
I wonder what's going on. Miller is now turned up at the NC Arsenal. It's 96 plus. So these numbers that were missing earlier are now at NC Arsenal, but the problem is, critically, they were too late to make a difference. The base is now owned by Emerald, and this plays badly into the current meta of redeployment, because Miller's going to have a huge pop sink to stay here to defend all 3 capture points. They still haven't cleared off the vehicles on the west side for Emerald, and yes, it's preventing any forward hack on Sungri West and the Raxom Network Hub, but with the Bastion being saved, the Raxom Network Hub could be under threat, and we already see population from Emerald there.
It's interesting. The Miller who have dropped onto... I'm sorry, the Emerald who have dropped onto Tumas Tech Plant, they keep on coming in galaxies. They have Sunders pulling, and I still see no maxes. You would think, I mean, a place a scat max would be really good would be in a tech plant. You can guard a doorway. You can, keep those choke points. And I still have yet to see any maxes from Emerald here at this tech plant.
What will be interesting to see is that the Raxus Firearms Corp is a wide open base. There's lots of clear spaces, and infantry that's caught in the open can easily get picked off by anti-air.
Oh my, okay. So the problem was, when Miller captured this base, they did not go repair their SCU. There is no SCU at this tech plant.
Oh no! So it was down, but they never went. They left and they didn't repair it.
I don't know if they left or if they got killed off and they couldn't get here, but that is why Miller is now attacking so hard here. The SCU is down, even though the shields are up. The SCU is down, and there is a very good defense. This is going to take a lot of people coming from Miller.
Miller's spawning in currently at Raxus Firearms Corp. They've come to Raxus Firearms Corp to make the save first. So that's the 4-minute base. There's nobody at the Tumas Tech Plant. That's going to involve a spawn-in at Tumas Cargo Facility, which has been partially camped by a Galaxy and a Sunder to pull in fresh vehicles, because they need to drive essentially Sunders from somewhere to get to the SU and repair it. They've got a token force. They've got 2 squads at Aramex Chemical. But this is interesting because Miller's going for the attack rather than defending what they have. They're losing North Grove, and they're losing Araxicom Network Hub, they're losing Araxis Firearms Corp, they're losing Tumas Tech Plant, but at the same time they are attacking the NC Arsenal and Aramex. NC Arsenal is a really tough base to take. It's to be seen.
So we have some very creative harasser driving at Araxicom Network Hub. I can only assume that this is the harasser outfit from Emerald. They don't have their tag in, so it's their name tags are their thing. But we have harassers on roofs at this point, so they're being quite cheeky about this here at Araxicom Network Hub. Emerald is.
Camera a bit too fast there. Is that a change of terrain? No, it's not. My mistake. Oh, we can see that in the Bravo capture point of Raxus Firearms Corp, Emerald continuing to hold on to the outer balcony entrance, and Miller trying to make a push or do something, but they're being C4'd from the roof in the heavy assault and the rocket shots.
Miller has a good lockdown of the points at NC Arsenal. The force of Emerald here at Arsenal, again, there are no maxes. I'm really kind of surprised. You would think one of the huge benefits you would get by taking NC would be that you get scat maxes, and I have seen very few, if any, maxes pulled from Emerald.
It's incredibly chaotic. Both teams are. Neither team is choosing to back down. They're all being extremely aggressive. Now, it's tied. It's 49-49. It is tied. But Miller is choosing not to defend certain bases. They are choosing to attack, forcing Emerald to come back and theoretically defend bases that they're not defending. Neither team's defending. So currently at North Grove Post, there is a 50-50 fight going on. So Miller's trying to defend in North Grove, but there's a minute to go. We'll go there very quickly. At Aramex, it's 50-50 population numbers as well, but that's even a small outfit fight. There's a large force at Tumas Tech Plant staying there to make sure it goes through. It looks like Miller may have saved their Axis Firearms Corps. I'm going to go to North Grove just quickly to see what's going on. See whether or not Miller can make a save in the last 60 seconds. It looks like Emerald's Air Force is actually overhead with 20 seconds to go. Miller's trying to get to the capture point. They have no vehicle support. They have no air support. And the Spawn Sunder is right at the door for the Emerald forces. I don't see how Miller can get to this capture point and make any difference.
I think Miller has lost the tech plant. I don't see how anyone is going to get here in time.
Without that SU up. And even if the SU was up, it'd be vulnerable now and it'd be down anyway.
Hmm. And the
Is Aramax Chemical gonna go for free? There's so few people there.
looks like it's flipping back, and Northgrove has just captured in favor of Emerald. Again, it looks like Miller is trying really hard to get that NC Arsenal, but Emerald has moved people in there and are looks like they're pushing them back. They now outpop them.
And this is the problem with Miller. Miller choosing to attack. The fact is, the what am I talking about? The Emerald Force is able to get the base that they were attacking and then redeploy back to the base that they were losing and then save it. So from being a base trade scenario, it becomes an instance of Emerald takes everything. They save the base that they're currently losing, and then they take the base that they're currently attacking. And that's the risk, with when you choose to attack while you're being attacked.
There is a Sunder group that is trying to get in from Miller. They're pulling from cargo. There is Liberators, and actually this looks like it's the entirety of the air from Emerald down here, just absolutely hammering them as they're trying to get in.
So there's an Emerald Air Force. Where's the Miller Air Force?
I wonder if the Emerald Air Force has kicked them off at this point. There is a large force of Miller trying to get this tech plant back now. They have Sunders deployed in the back. They are trying to get into the stairs, and it looks like they have finally taken the point back. It seems that Emerald had actually left the point. They must have moved their people to try and guard the SCU, and Miller said, well, we don't need the SCU.
Well, Miller's actually got himself on the control point. It looks like most of the forces of Emerald are actually outside. Yes! Big forces! SCU is actually being saved and repaired, but it's been re-triggered with 60 seconds. But Miller has come back. They've timed this. Let's assume they've done this intentionally. They've timed this really, really well. Last minute to go, they come back, and then they just come into those four Sunderers underneath in the vehicle bay area, just driving in, and they're able to get their forces inside. They save the tech plant. The question is, they need to save the SCU, and they need to now push off this rampant Emerald Air Force that's outside looking for any prey that it can get. Air hammers, rocket pods, we can see them outside, we can see their Emerald Sunders. So Miller's done great. They've got the initiative, they've punched in, but now they need to maintain that momentum. They need to get their SCU up online, and they need to get hold the control point long enough so that the SCU is stabilized and it cannot be re-attacked.
I have finally seen Scatmaxes here at Airmax Chemical Corps. The Emerald forces that pushed in to finally take this back and kick the VS out of here finally pulled some Scatmaxes. It's hard for me to read some of these tags, but I think I saw Goku in here, so I don't know if that was them or if there's other people with them. But finally saw some NZ Maxes.
It's a vicious fight going on at the SCU generator. It looks like Miller's reinforced. They've come to the banana building, come through from the cap, and they're just pushing now Emerald finally off the point. But it was a back and forth. Are you going to charge it? Or are you not going to charge it? Are you going to come? And they're just waiting for them to poke their head out because they're using cover. It was a nice little fight. But outside the actual SCU point, there's lots and lots of Air Force for Emerald, and we still see some Sunders, although they're beginning to get picked off. The spawn room's up, the shields are up, they can fire from through the shields now. The Air Force from Emerald is still present, still bombing anything they can get their hands on. The capture point now, this is interesting. This Miller force has gone to the SU. They're now out of position, and the capture point has been recaptured by by Emerald. What's going on inside? Let's have a look. Both the vehicle terminals are dead, so that works in favor of Miller. There's nobody on the capture point, and there is maybe half a squad on the balcony. There's no reason why Miller can't use the underground teleporter pods to get, underground tunnel to get back inside. There is a Vanguard sitting sitting on the tunnel, preventing anyone from getting on the side. Miller needs to respond very quickly to get back to their capture point.
Miller's,
what are they doing?
What little Air Force Miller has up, I think, is up here in the north. They are trying to resecure Moss Ravine, which was under threat, and unfortunately by doing that, it seems like they pulled their people out of NC Arsenal, which is now being resecured by Emerald. And Emerald is also taking the Raxcom Network Hub. I'm actually heading over there right now to see if that's going to go through.
Miller's come into the tech plant. They've gone to the capture point, though their numbers are coming in force now. The Emerald forces, realizing how close they are on the capture point, have pulled their forces from the balcony back to the capture point. But we look at the minimap, there must be at least 2 or 3 squads from Miller zerging into the point just to force the issue. There's lots of grenades going off, res grenades, explosive grenades. I say Miller's got the numbers advantage, but they're more clumped up, so grenades are going to be more effective. I don't actually see decent spawns though for the Emerald forces. Their Sunders are so far away off to the east that I think Miller just eventually through attrition.
Away from getting a Raxacom network hub. This was great vehicle placement on Emerald's part. They had harassers on rooftops. They had harassers all over the place. They had a Galaxy blocking the entrance to that led from the spawn, and this was just captured by the cooperative. And as I said, I believe that's the harasser outfit that was driving those harassers, but I can't be sure because they don't have their outfit tag in the name.
Emerald did a lovely flank on the staircase at the tech plant. They've picked off a bunch of the Miller forces that were behind this protective screen on the cap point, but crucially, with less than 40 seconds to go, Miller does not have the control point. They're calling in extra reinforcements, income lightnings, income maxes from the balcony. With 30 seconds to go, there's no reason that Miller should lose this base. They have the numbers, they have the people. This is an exceptionally good hold by the Emerald force. With 25 seconds to go, here comes Miller up the balcony, here come the maxes. Most of the consumables have already been used by these Emerald forces. 19 seconds to go, Miller's going up to the balcony. Why are those maxes going up to the balcony? With 10 seconds to go, you need to get on the capture point, son. What's going on? 10 seconds, 9. What is Miller doing? Get on the point. Okay, here finally they're on the point, but 3 seconds to go, there's too many Emerald. Is Emerald going to get the base? 1 second to go. Emerald gets the base. I do not believe it. That was a huge blunder by Miller. What were they doing? They had this base, and now this goes from a 1 second last moment capture to a this is now an Emerald base. GG guys, you now have 7 minutes of sitting here while we leave and go somewhere else. Oh my goodness, that was close, and well done to that hold. It was only like 1 or 2 squads on the capture point for Emerald. And the SCU's up to make things worse. The fact is that those long spawns from the Sunders outside on the west and east sides, now Emerald can just spawn on the capture point and reapply pressure.
This is something that we see so often in Server Smash, where the time to get to the capture point is increased so much from live, because you have really good players who really care about what they're doing defending the point. And so just because on live you can spawn in and run to the point in 30 seconds and save it, that's not how it works here. And that becomes a problem when all of your
but the thing is,
leaders and squad leaders think about it.
There were 4 maxes, 4 Vanu maxes when the new conglomerate had none on the capture point that went up the balcony with 25 seconds to go. They went, there was barely anyone on the balcony, and even if there were forces on the balcony, it does not matter. There's less than 25 seconds to go. You go to the point, you clear out of any squishies that are there, and make it so that when your squishies get to the capture point, there isn't contention, because the simple fact is, yes, Miller got on the capture point, but Emerald hid themselves in all the little nooks and crannies in the last few seconds, and they had more bodies on the point that prevented it from flipping. Those extra 5 seconds of the maxes going in the right direction, with the right guys going in the right place, would have done it for Miller. Miller had enough time. It's just they messed up. Don't get me wrong, Emerald did a great job of holding it, but still.
Miller has moved into Raven's Landing. They're trying to take that, and they also have a problem at Mos Ravine. So this is exactly what we usually see from Emerald, just the constant forward pressure on bases. Mos Ravine was resecured by Miller only a few minutes ago, and
it's been re-attacked. Right, yep. We can see that Mos Ravine, Miller has lost North Grove, and they're now under attack at Mos Ravine, so they're fighting at their own base. Miller is also being under attack at Sungray Westgate, so Emerald is applying pressure on 2 bases in the north. In the middle, we see Miller forces are on 50-50, and they're attempting to take Raven's Landing, or Nevermore it is currently. The tech plant, the Miller force that was on the capture point, has been successfully pushed off by the Emerald team. Now pressure is probably going to be reapplied to Tuma's cargo facility. The Armax attack, there are some numbers, they are beginning attack, but it's a very small token force. So in essence, we can see that there are 2 attacks going on currently for Emerald, 1 for Miller, and a base save that's almost done for Emerald, with the potential of them now re-attacking. Now if we had a look at Nevermore,
Emerald is pushed into Sungray Westgate, which is very dangerous for Miller. I mean, honestly, more than defending anything else, they need to start defending this base. It is a deceptively difficult base to defend because you have to come up so many levels of stairs to get to this point. This is really a point where you kind of have to gal drop your own defenders, and I don't see enough Miller here to push Emerald off. Emerald is going to be 1 step closer to Sungray Amp Station here.
It's not the best Galaxy drop. Miller's gal dropping in some extra reinforcements. They have a Sunder that's somewhat exposed. It's already been bombarded by Reavers and a couple of heavy assaults. And there's just too many people at Nevermore. Emerald's made a successful save, and they've just pushed off the attacking Miller. And their air forces here, that's another thing. The The Emerald Air Force, I'm seeing it everywhere I'm going, at least in the south of the continent, and they're making themselves known. They're killing off the Miller spawn sunders. And now Tuma's cargo facility, even though they're out popped, they are attempting to do attack. They're preventing any kind of further attack on the tech plant.
Sungray Westgate is... I can't see how this is not going to go through. Miller just doesn't have enough people pushing in. They're trying to come down the stairs to get onto the point with 5 seconds remaining. Lots of grenades going off. I just think there's too many Emerald here.
Well, it's also a roof base, in theory.
And here we go again. Miller was
point is flipping. Oh, and it's not flipping. And yep, a few seconds too late. Well,
they managed to get in, but that was it. Now Sungray is under threat, and that's a huge danger.
The problem is Miller gets the point just a little bit too late. Yes, they get the capture point, but the fact is they lose the base, and then Emerald has a whole 4 minutes to then do something and pick off. And the problem is the Miller forces, when they're defending, they don't have emergency backup sunders. So if on the worst case scenario they lose the base, as they have done, they have a backup spawn or they have vehicle control. It's always a kind of a very desperate infantry push to try and get their capture point back.
Yeah, this looked like a very, very close match in the beginning. There was a lot of aggression from both sides, and there were critical bases being taken on both sides. But since NC Arsenal has capped for Emerald, it seems like the momentum is decidedly swung in
and
their
Moss
favor.
Ravine is going to go in 15 seconds away, and there's just simply not enough Miller forces. They're tied up in this L-shaped building, very tightly packed. I mean, some good AV grenades and frag grenades would do amazingly well at cleaning this up, but it just doesn't look like it's happening. Even though the Miller force had the outside, had the... Another thing we don't see here, they had the outside, they had the air, they had some extra Mag Riders and Lightnings, but what did Miller not do? They didn't spawn a Sunder. They have no emergency backup spawns. So now that they have no Sunders, the Emerald force can push out and just, or spawn in from the spawn room and systematically wipe out the Miller kind of defenders now / attackers. If Miller had themselves a couple of Sunder backup Sunders here, even if they did theoretically lose the base, they can still apply pressure, keep spawning in, and take the base back immediately. And that simply isn't the case. So Emerald is doing an extremely good job at, how should I say, keeping a point, but also providing vehicles and keeping vehicle control around the base. We can see Miller's trying to get Sungray Westgate back. What's going on in the south at the tech plant / Aramax?
I was just down there. Aramax, Miller managed to get back on the point. They have a very good Sunder place there. And Tuma's cargo facility was saved by Miller. I'm actually going to head down to Nevermore and check out that fight. Or Raven's Landing. It's when they changed the base names on us, we get confused.
We're currently watching the fight going on at Sungray Westgate. Miller continues to hold on to the capture point with 2 minutes to go. Looks like they do have some spawn Sunders underneath in the garage area. I think my camera's doing the whole kind of rickroll shaky. I'll have to fix that.
Miller has been kicked off of the point at Raven's Landing, and I got here just in time, basically, to watch them get kicked off. That was a good push. Again, there's only one group of Emerald that I see using maxes, and that's in the far south. No one else is using maxes. It's all basically a lot of heavies and a lot of medics. That seems to be what they're doing.
The capture point, 1 minute 35 seconds to go, 90 seconds. It's still in Emerald's favour. They've shown they're more than capable at retaking capture point, and also this capture point is pretty heavily exposed in terms of grenading through the windows and light assaults and just basically lots of flanking fire from all directions. And they've also taken the roof. That must have been perhaps a galaxy drop, and there's extra galaxy reinforcements coming in, I believe, for Emerald.
From the little amount that I've seen of the air battle, I'm actually finding the Emerald air looks like 24 to 36 over the ascent. It seems to me that both sides have a small group of air. I really doubt that either one of them have a whole platoon up, and at least from what I've seen just flying around here, I would say Emerald is winning that air dominance battle. Every time I fly over, there are Reavers. There seem to be more Reavers than Scythes when they're flying.
We just see on Sungray Westgate, Emerald successfully saves their base on that kind of critical mass 30-second marker. Just coming in with extra forces, grenades. The exposed nature of the capture point plays against the favour of Miller, and maxes and grenades and smoke. It's just totally, destroyed the Miller force.
These harassers are just devastating at Araxicom Network Hub. They have shotguns on top of harassers. They drive them right up to the door, and they just pummel everyone inside with that shotgun. And that is what that's absolutely what let Emerald push back into this capture point at Araxicom Network.
Oh, it's an
Hub.
evil harasser. It's got radar on as well. It basically knows where everyone is.
That was just, I mean, I know people complain about the PPA, but I would not want to be standing anywhere in that room while that shotgun was firing through the door. Tumas Tech, which started off as a small group of Miller, looks like it's turned into a full-on assault. I'm going to head down there and see if they actually have a setup and some spawns here.
Yep, and it looks like our Araxicom Network Hub is successfully saved by the Emerald Force.
I've just flown completely north to south, and the only things I have seen flying are Reavers and just general NC air. I would say it's...
I'm going to check the tech plant if you have a look at Barrack Electrical for us.
Okay.
Tech plant is loose. It's a light spawn. The fact is, I think Emerald is just choosing to send token forces to see if they can make any difference. It's one squad, maybe two squads currently being a nuisance on the capture point. There's not a serious threat of driving the base. I mean, with 3.5 minutes to go.
More harassers from Emerald. They have gotten them, I think, down on the point.
Oh, but following that Sunder path that we saw yesterday in the Cobalt.
Yes. Yeah, they have those nasty harassers down on the point. And I actually think this is a different outfit using this here. I'm trying to see. This is Goku. This is Goku doing the same harasser trick down here.
Oh man, that shotgun harasser is being used to horrendous effect. Oh, okay, it got blown up. I suppose that's a positive for Miller. It's their base, and they've got 2.5 minutes to make a save. The Emerald Force is holding up the corners, and the Miller Force needs to apply pressure from both sides, or preferentially, because they have the time, they want to be killing off, and it looks like the spawns are dead for Emerald. We're talking about this rear Sunder.
Finally kill those harassers. So it was, we've seen really great vehicle play from Emerald so far, and I think Miller might be catching on to some of the tactics and knowing what they need to come in and do to get rid of that stuff. We'll see if that helps them do some pushes later on here.
2 minutes to go though.
Was resecured by Emerald, and that that attack was completely repelled. And again, Sungray Amp Station is now under threat.
I mean, the Emerald team is doing an extremely good job of holding onto Barrack Electrical Station with what they have. Miller is just completely surrounding them and systematically pummeling them down. And the important thing is they have the time. The numbers are also 50-50, so it's not like they're over-committing any extra numbers. Emerald, however, has brought a very important Sunder back in to the east side of the base. It looks like they're gonna set... Where are you going? You can't deploy up here. Are you gonna be a combat Sunder? Okay. They've not got the capture point, they don't have a spawn Sunder, and yet the Sunder wants to come in and be a battle Sunder when they don't own the base and they can't deploy. He's got a double Bulldogs. I'm not sure how this is really going to work. It'd be far more beneficial if they had the point, then had the Sunder. Yeah, that was pointless Sunder. You realistically should have set up on the garage, or at least on the flank and the side, and then fresh reinforcements, because now Emerald has no spawns. And they've lost the base, so I'm going to say poor play there with that Sunder. If they already had a Sunder that was deployed, then absolutely go ahead right inside and be a battle Sunder. But I would have probably said Furies rather than Bulldogs since the last nerf.
Miller is trying desperately to get into Sungray Westgate, but unfortunately they find themselves not on the roof. Oh, never mind. They just put some beacons on the roof, and they're trying to push down onto the point. I think, unfortunately, that they're locked out of this point. I think Emerald has gotten behind them onto Sungray.
Yeah, they have. 2 minutes. They've got all 3 capture points.
That's a huge danger now for Miller. Miller has to respond. They have to take everyone out of this base and immediately go back and kick them off.
Yeah, we're looking at the first set of shields. The things that don't really matter about the external shields. They want to hold on to 3 capture points. And okay, Miller's beginning to flip the charge point. These points take a lot longer than standard points to flip because they essentially give you like a hard spawn.
And unfortunately, this is the kind of base where you can send 12 guys to flip all 3 points and then spawn in 96 because you get those hard spawns at the base. And I think that's exactly what Emerald was doing.
Huh, there's actually an alert going on in Indar. Totally missed that.
There's a pumpkin.
Well, if anyone goes and gets pumpkins from the factions, that really is forbidden, considering it's in a different con.
Miller looks like it has gotten back B point, and A is flashing. I'm heading over there right now.
They have popped 2-to-1 numbers, so they did take their people back from Sungry Westgate. The Moss Ravine attack is still going on, but only a token 5% extra overpop. Emerald, and I'm not liking this from the Miller because, as we see, there's no spawn sunder. So there are no. Well, we'll have a look. Emerald forces are wrapping around the building. The Emerald, now this is an important difference than we had from last time. When Miller had this base and they were trying to get the base back, they were just running in from the spawn to the point. Emerald, however, and there we see the spawn sunder for Miller. This is their base. They're trying to get the capture point back. But look at this. 3, 4, 5 Sunderers on the minimap. They have contingency plans in place if they lose the base. They can continue to apply pressure. And they're even using said vehicles to bombard the living nuts out of this kind of inner walkway. Look at that Sunder there. Double Bulldogs pounding into this doorway. That's good play there by Emerald.
Emerald has also managed to push back onto Araxis Farm Core. They own all 3 points and are now pushing on what should be one of the more defensible bases for Miller. I do not see a Miller force coming in to try and deal with this. And Miller has not really affected the air for about 15 minutes, as far as I've seen. This is I see Emerald having air dominance both north and south.
Actually, there's a very large Miller air wing in Sungry.
Hello, Lanzer. I didn't know you joined us.
Welcome to the party, anyway. Yes, we did notice the Emerald getting pounded by Miller's air group, or at least fresh spawns of Miller air. We can see that one of the capture points is still being held onto by the Emerald ground forces. I think they just want to be a nuisance, prevent the Miller force from fighting at Sungry Westgate, basically, because there's 2 squads from Miller waiting to flip the point at the Sungry West, but the actual Sungry point itself, C point looks like it might fall sometime soon if you look at the minimap. This whole squad of New Conglomerate, they're obviously running to the Alpha capture point, and if they can get there just in time, the C point is still being held. That's what's going on at the C point.
It's a nice air battle at Sungry right now.
I don't want to give the one outfit undue credit if it's not them, but I assume that this is ECUS again at Crux headquarters, because while lots of people pull harassers, they don't put them on rooftops, and every time I come in and I see a harasser on a rooftop, I just have to assume that it's the guys who make this their living in the game to drive these things. And this is a small group attacking Crux headquarters, and this is an incredibly dangerous base from Miller's perspective. If you lose this, it's just weak soft pink flesh beneath this. They can run right into your warp gate. So even though this is a small group, you have to respond. You have to come take this base back.
But Sungry Amp, the attacking Emerald forces, they ran from Charlie, leaving a token defensive force with the intention of running to A to flip the Alpha capture point, simply just to stall time, because 2 squads of Miller were doing nothing at Sungry West. And now, as the Emerald force are slowly being picked off, extra reinforce. Yeah, so the defending force, or sorry, the attacking force of Miller that was at Sungry West has now been pushed off, and Moss Ravine has been successfully now saved. As for Araxis Farms, that's the next crisis currently going on for Miller.